Rune arts, a sacred power said to have existed since the dawn of humanity. Those chosen by fate to be born with rune arts ruled over all creation with supernatural forces that defied nature, reigning as the leaders of all things. Under their dominion, ancient humanity praised rune arts as a blessing bestowed by the gods, a miracle they called it. But among countless runes, there was one, a singular and infamous rune, branded as a curse, the rune of Asura. A boy was seen running, his body impaled with the weapons of his pursuers. He was chased down, cursed at, and driven away as a monster, marked for ruin. Since ancient times, it was said that those born with this rune, without fail, brought destruction. The boy eventually escaped and collapsed in a forest. As he lay there, he caught sight of people in the distance. They recoiled at the sight of him, horrified by the blood that drenched his body. Yet, despite their shock, they approached, and one among them urged for the bleeding to be stopped, calling upon the use of rune arts. 7 years later, in a small village, several villagers were being questioned. They insisted that they knew nothing, demanding to know why the rune of Asura would even be in such a place, and telling the intruders to leave after tearing their homes apart. Reluctantly, the men questioning them departed, one mocking the villagers as being loud and troublesome. When the search party regrouped, one of the men reported that nothing had been found. He explained that they had checked everywhere, and that there was not a single rune arts user in the area, according to the villagers. His superior, dissatisfied with the response, called the man over. When the man approached, his superior suddenly attacked him, piercing his stomach with his hand. Another man screamed in shock, crying out for his brother. The superior sneered at them, declaring that they could not hope to find someone without rune arts or mana, for he could already sense the stench of utter destruction. The scene shifted to the forest. Hidden inside a hollow tree, Ban and Linda were told it was safe to come out. Emerging, Linda exclaimed how fresh the outside air felt, while Ban apologized for continually bringing trouble to the village because of him. The villagers brushed off his worries, telling him no one cared about such things, though they remarked that the two of them were always hiding there. Linda cheerfully explained that Ban liked the place, and Ban admitted it was his favorite spot in the entire village, as it was where he had been saved 7 years ago. The villagers teased him playfully, brushing dust off them both, and soon the talk turned to the preparations for the wedding, which were complete and ready to begin at sunset. That night, by the great bonfire, Ban and Linda stood before everyone. They were officially declared married and urged to say their vows. Linda boldly promised to make Ban so happy that he would cry, drawing cheers and admiration from the crowd. Ban, however, confessed with hesitation that he had brought suffering wherever he went. Plague, war, massacres, and disaster always followed him, leaving him unable to settle anywhere. He admitted that if not for being taken in 7 years ago, he would likely be dead, and he still questioned if it was right for someone carrying the rune of Asura to remain among them. Before he could continue, Linda struck him, cutting him off. She reminded him that while they had once worried when they first met, everything changed when true danger struck the village, and he had protected them all. From then on, they had decided never to fear again, and to face any future trouble together, just as they had that day. The crowd rallied in support, proclaiming their loyalty and promising to protect him. Linda's mother urged the ceremony forward, and Ban professed his love for Linda, who returned the words without hesitation. Hidden from sight, an ominous figure watched, muttering to itself before a massive explosion suddenly erupted at the bonfire. Ban slowly opened his eyes in the aftermath, only to find himself surrounded by horror. The ground was littered with corpses, and he screamed in terror, trembling as he tried to process the scene. He spotted Linda's father and mother among the dead, and desperately denied what he was seeing. The ominous figure appeared behind him, mocking him before striking him across the ground. Ban landed at the base of a tree, where the figure dragged Linda by her hair across the floor. The figure taunted him with a twisted game, warning him to hide before being found. Ban demanded to know who this being was and why such cruelty was being done to them. The figure dismissed the question, explaining that Ban's rune of Asura was needed by someone seeking the true rune it carried. It revealed that all the neighboring villages had also been wiped out, not out of hatred, but because survivors were a hassle. The figure then created a subspace prison specifically for Ban, a place where time meant nothing, whether 1,000 years or 10,000. He was told he would be released only when the time came, and until then, he was to remain sealed. As the prison closed around him, Ban's eyes fell on Linda one last time, seeing her lips move as she said something to him. He reached out in tears, but it was futile. The seal took hold, trapping him away. Inside the sealed world, Ban's thoughts raced. He reflected on the words he had heard about the true power of destruction, questioning whether it could all have been because of a single rune. He wondered if there had truly never been a way out from the start. In the end, he felt he had brought only destruction and death, bound by an inescapable fate from the moment of his birth. He believed that if he had accepted his destiny sooner, perhaps his uncle, Aunt and Linda would still be alive. Just once, he wished things could have turned out differently. He had dreamed only of an ordinary life, and because of that dream, they had died. He came to believe his foolish hopes and greed had killed everyone. Lying there, he muttered apologies to himself over and over, drowning in guilt. His mind spiraled, teetering on the brink of madness. He begged for forgiveness, cursed himself, and pleaded for death. His apologies blurred into desperate cries, a storm of sorrow and the regret that consumed him entirely. In his despair, he questioned the very existence of a god, asking why such a cruel fate would be given to him. Exhaustion overtook him, and he wished only for death, for rest, and for release. Yet, in his deepest despair, he remembered Linda's final words before he was sealed. She had told him it was not his fault, that she loved him forever. The memory darkened his expression. He denied her words, convinced that it was all his fault. He rejected the idea of simply ending things and demanded of himself what right he had to rest. Rage flared within him, and he declared to himself that he was not allowed to die yet. If the rune of Asura always brought ruin, then he no longer cared, because there was nothing left to ruin. If someone needed the rune he carried, then he would show them. He would make them feel the true destruction he bore. Death could wait. First would come his revenge, and to achieve that, he had to escape the cursed subspace. Figures emerged within the sealed world, monstrosities that rushed toward him, blaming him and demanding his death. Ban swore to himself that no matter if it took 1,000 or 10,000 years, he would have his revenge. He fought against the endless creatures of the subspace, clashing with them without pause. 200 years passed, 400 years, 600 years. Still, he fought without end. The boy who walked the path of Asura danced amidst destruction, yet remained ignorant of the secret hidden within the blood-drenched rune that chained him in despair. 999 years passed. Endless agony consumed him, but the fire of revenge within his heart refused to die. In battle, Ban charged at a massive creature. The monster slammed both of its hands down, crushing him into the ground. As he laid on the ground, his thoughts drifted to Linda once more, recalling the dream she had shared with him. She had wished to marry him, to make her parents his own, and together to raise a son and daughter, building a home filled with warmth and happiness. That was her dream, her haven. The memory ignited something deep within him. Back in the subspace, the boy finally unleashed the true power of Ruin. His body erupted with overwhelming energy, and he underwent a transformation. A massive explosion shook the sealed world as the rune of Asura revealed its true nature. He wondered if this was the true power of Ruin. The rune, embodying Asura, the god of ruin, summoned forth the 666 armaments, each forged with Ruin's destructive force. Ban wondered if, had this power awakened on that day, no one would have died. With that thought, he prepared to attack the giant creature. With a single punch, he sent it flying, the strike carrying devastation. The monster slammed into the wall, and Ban followed, activating the first armament, a glove imbued with the power to destroy matter at the particle level, its destructive strength growing with the user's mana. He drove the punch down, crushing the creature's head completely. The residual force detonated outward, causing a massive explosion that tore apart the surroundings. The scene shifted. A man begged desperately for his life, claiming he had no money. A bandit sneered, deciding instead to take the man's organs. Suddenly, Ban appeared behind them. He asked what year it was, and the bandits laughed at the strange question. They told him it was the year 1500. Ban processed this silently, realizing that only 5 years had passed in the outside world, while he had endured centuries within subspace. At the same time, another bandit struck, but his weapon shattered against Ban's body. The bandits were stunned at the sight. Ban's expression grew dark. He instantly took down 2 of them. He then turned and drove his fist into another, smashing his body into pieces. The remains fell to the ground, leaving one bandit standing with his mouth wide open in shock. Ban faced him, and the terrified man awaited his question. On the continent of Atun, the land had long been shaped by the ancient power of rune arts. Across the ages, countless kingdoms had risen and fallen, yet one realm stood above them all as the greatest kingdom in the history of Atun, the Zoe Kingdom. With overwhelming military might, it had endured as the dominant power of the continent for generations. Ban interrogated the bandit, pressing him about the identity of a mysterious figure. The bandit admitted that the clothes Ban described were the very garments reserved only for sorcerers of Zoe's royal household, swearing he had seen the man himself. Ban demanded details, and the bandit quickly obliged. He recalled an incident from 5 years prior, when a mercenary named Kaisurak had dealings with Lord Daigle, the master of their bandit den. Kaisurak had mentioned a high-profile client and arranged a meeting, explaining that there was a lucrative job awaiting them. In a flashback, the client and Daigle were seated together at a table inside the bandit's mountain hideout. The client leaned forward and laid out the terms of the job. They were to locate a single individual and wipe out several villages, with a large payment promised in return. The offer was simple, direct, and far too profitable for Daigle to refuse. For men in their position, the task was simple. They carried it out swiftly, leaving no trace behind. The massacre produced so many corpses, all in such wretched condition, that it became a burden to burn them all. When the work was complete, the purple-haired sorcerer who had hired them paid his fee cleanly and disappeared. Ban asked if there had been a girl with short orange hair among the corpses. The bandit confirmed it. He said her presence had been striking, and she stood out from the others. Ban asked if her body was also burned. The bandit told him that it was, and even lamented her wasted beauty, remarking that she would have sold for a fortune as a slave. Before the bandit could finish speaking, Ban's fist struck him in the face with brutal force, killing him instantly. At the Daigle bandit den, the outlaws moved about with their slaves. Threats and blows drove the captives forward, their frail bodies packed into cages while the bandits mocked them. They boasted about the freshness of their stock, sneering at the way the captives had struggled, and laughed about the profit to be made from slaves that still had fight left in them. At the gate, a knock sounded. One of the guards peered outside and was met by Ban, who carried liquor as a guise. As soon as the gate opened, Ban struck, driving his fist into the guard. The other guard attacked, swinging his weapon, but Ban blocked with ease. The man unleashed a storm of strikes, yet Ban slipped past them all, closed the distance, and took him down with a single powerful punch. The commotion drew the attention of the other bandits, and they watched in shock as Ban strode forward, carrying a severed head in one hand and a body in the other. He hurled the severed head and body down before the gathered bandits, demanding their master. The outlaws sneered at his audacity, remarking on his lack of fear and questioning if he even understood where he stood. Weapons were raised as they prepared to strike him down. But before they could move, a towering figure appeared from behind, drawing all attention to his presence. Lord Daigle himself, master of the den. The bandits called out in alarm, but Daigle silenced them, commanding them to step back. He recognized Ban immediately as a sorcerer, born with the rune arts, just like himself. He stepped forward to confront him. Ban pressed him for answers about the job arranged years earlier by the mercenary Kaisurak on behalf of a Zoe Kingdom sorcerer. Daigle laughed when he realized how much Ban had uncovered from his men, mocking him and questioning what he intended to do with that knowledge. Ban demanded the whereabouts of Kaisurak, offering the lives of the bandits in exchange for the truth. Daigle only sneered at the proposal, his answer coming not in words of compliance, but with a declaration of death, aimed straight at Ban. Without warning, Daigle surged forward, his fist slamming into Ban's face, sending him flying. He mocked the young sorcerer's murderous aura, declaring that he would die here. The rune of blades awakened upon his body, sheathing him in razor edges, sharp enough to slice flesh and bone alike. Ban rose slowly from the rubble, his eyes locked on Daigle. In the next instant, he appeared before him, landing a crushing blow that forced blood from Daigle's mouth. Mockery followed the strike, further igniting Daigle's rage. Grinding his teeth, Dagal retaliated with a furious swing, but Ban evaded. Enraged, Dagal spun his body, unleashing a storm of blades in all directions. He declared that Ban would be carved apart, unable to move under such agony. Yet Ban advanced undeterred, striding through the storm of blades as if the pain were nothing. Ban stepped forward, dismissing the blades that tore into his flesh as meaningless, drawing out the true power of his Asura rune. Dagal, amused by his defiance, gathered the blades surrounding his body into the shape of a massive hand, preparing to unleash a devastating strike. Ban's thoughts turned inward as he assessed the attack. At worst, the technique could strip away skin and sever nerves. Yet to him, such torment was shallow, insignificant, compared to the abyss of agony he had long endured. With that conviction, he launched his fist forward, meeting Dagal's assault head-on. His punch tore through the colossal hand of blades, and a surge of energy erupted straight through Dagal's chest. The force of it ripped a path through the forest and shot upward into the sky itself. As the dust settled, Ban exhaled and turned toward the surviving bandits. The sight of him standing amidst the devastation filled them with nothing but terror. Later, the corpses of the bandits lay scattered across the ground, with only one left alive for Ban to interrogate. Under his questioning, the survivor revealed that Kesurak was in the Nordia kingdom. Ban confirmed the information, then feigned a promise of mercy. The bandit, desperate and trembling, clung to that hope, but Ban's expression betrayed the truth. In an instant, Ban struck him with a fatal blow, ending his life without hesitation. He dismissed the notion of sparing an enemy as nothing more than a cruel jest. As he prepared to leave, his thoughts lingered on Zoe Kingdom. Though his fury urged him to storm its gates at once, he knew he could not move forward on a bandit's word alone. Kesurak would have to be tracked down, no matter how long it took, for only then would he uncover the truth with his own eyes. His heart turned toward the memory of Linda, his uncle, his aunt, and all the others he had lost. He silently asked them to wait a little longer. What he left behind here, he considered a gift, a grim tribute born of vengeance. The corpses of the bandits had been arranged into a towering cross, a symbol of retribution. Ban cast a torch onto the piled corpses, setting them ablaze and condemning the bandits to the same fate they had once dealt to the villagers. Without looking back at the inferno, he turned and walked away, his path already set toward his first destination, the Nordia Kingdom. In the Nordia Kingdom, on Guild Street, a dark alleyway hid the sound of fists striking flesh. Ban drove his fist into a man's face, leaving him bloodied and weak. The man's broken gasps revealed the name of Anna Dalton, hinting that she knew something. Ban accepted the information coldly and moved on, his mind turning toward the urgency of the situation. There was no time to waste. Another disaster, like the one that had happened yesterday, could strike again. One day earlier, a violent burst of energy had erupted from Ban's body, shooting upward in a storm of uncontrolled power. Mana surged out of him wildly, threatening to tear him apart. Mana, invisible to the naked eye, was a mysterious force drifting across the universe. Those who could draw it into themselves and shape it through rune arts were known as sorcerers, their bodies acting as vessels to contain the energy. But if the flow of mana spiraled beyond control, the vessel would rupture. Death would follow as the body and the mana exploded together. Ban had struggled against the rampage of energy, forcing himself to seal it within his body before it consumed him. His breaths had come ragged and heavy, but he had managed to survive. It had been far too close. Now, in the present, as he walked, he reflected on the aftermath. With most of his mana sealed away, he could only wield a fraction of his power. To recklessly call upon it again would not merely burn his hair as before, it could consume his body entirely. To use the sealed mana safely, he would first need to uncover the cause of its rampage. Until then, he was bound to rely on only small fragments, no matter how inconvenient. His steps eventually brought him before a towering figure who blocked his path. The man informed him that Anna Dalton currently occupied the place ahead and ordered him to turn back. The one standing before him was Charlotte Ginny, only 18 years old. Ban's eyes narrowed at him, and with a swift strike, he drove a punch into Jenny's face, dropping him instantly. Without sparing another glance, Ban stepped over the fallen body, leaving the unconscious youth behind to sleep as he pressed onward. After Ban entered the building, 3 men approached him. One of them scolded him for arriving, insisting that no guests were supposed to be received that day. Ban stated that he was searching for a mercenary named Kesurak and had been told that someone there knew of him. His words drew an immediate reaction. From the hot water bath, another voice warned him of the danger of speaking that name so casually, claiming he could die without anyone knowing. Ban noted their reaction and pressed further, demanding to be told everything about the mercenary. Laughter followed, sharp and mocking, before the order was given to tear his mouth apart and bring him forward. The woman who gave that command was Anna Dalton, the #1 information dealer in Nordia's black market. At her words, the 3 men before him began to change. Fur sprouted across their skin, nails elongated into claws, and their heads reshaped into the snarling visages of wolves. The 3 transformed wolfmen growled and rushed toward Ban. Though he wished for a resolution through conversation, once again, it proved impossible. The first wolfman reached him, only to be struck hard across the face and then hammered in the stomach with such force that he was sent flying. Another lunged at Ban immediately, but he slipped past the strike, dodging fluidly. A third attacked, and again, Ban evaded. With both now pressing him, Ban prepared to counter. Fixing them with a steady gaze, he launched forward, and with one powerful blow drove his fist through them both. The attack smashed straight through the building itself. Turning back toward Anna, Ban demanded to know if she had finally considered speaking peacefully. She assessed him, realizing he was not merely a brat, but a sorcerer, though she admitted Kesurak was no longer there. At this, Ban asked where the mercenary had gone, but Anna reminded him she was only a merchant of information, and without payment, there would be none. Ban asked for the price. She seemed surprised at his sudden reasonableness, prompting him to explain himself. He insisted he was no murderer, claiming that he killed only because he was attacked, and if she could provide information, he would pay fairly. Anna calculated the price. Personal details on Kesurak and his current whereabouts would cost 10,000 gold. Ban admitted he did not have that much. She dismissed him as truly insane and not misunderstood, while he muttered about not expecting the cost to be so high. Anna held firm that without money, there would be no information. Ban asked if she wanted him simply to pay and wait. She questioned whether he had a source for the funds, then pried further, asking why he was looking for Kesurak. Noting the fierceness in his eyes, she wondered aloud if Kesurak had killed his family. Ban warned her to mind her own business before he ripped her mouth open, but Anna remained unfazed. almost amused by his boldness. In the kingdom of Nordia, on Mercenary Street, the registration hall bustled with activity. Inside the mercenary building, Ban completed his registration, the official confirming that his application as a mercenary was now complete. When he asked when he would begin receiving work, he was told that jobs usually came quickly, but were given mostly to veterans, leaving newcomers waiting their turn. Ban accepted this with a quiet acknowledgement, though he sighed inwardly. It seemed the process would take longer than expected, but he reminded himself that he needed a way to make money regardless. In his thoughts, he considered the woman, Anna Dalton. If it had come to it, he might have threatened her for information, but she was no ordinary person. Making unnecessary enemies brought no benefit, and Aunt Cara had always advised him to earn money through honest work. As he reflected, someone approached the counter. A hooded figure requested mercenary work, specifying that it be suited for an inexperienced rookie. Ban turned slightly at this, and the man at the counter quickly pointed her toward him, noting that the newcomer beside her had just registered. She turned toward him, realizing he was the rookie in question, and he confirmed it. She responded that her job was simple. She only needed someone to watch her back for a day. Removing her hood, she revealed herself as Leon Arti, 18 years old. Ban looked at her blankly, dismissing her as crazy. The man at the counter misunderstood her request, telling her that if she wanted such work, she should head to the red light district. She protested quickly, clarifying that she was hiring bodyguards, not seeking something improper. She urged Ban to at least hear her pay before deciding, but he dismissed her, saying he wanted no employer who seemed insane. Another mercenary, however, stepped forward eagerly. He offered to take the job and asked about the pay. Arti explained it was 10,000 gold, which caught Ban's attention as he listened. She then refused the veteran mercenary, insisting that she needed a rookie rather than someone with a known face. The man grew angry, claiming he was better than any rookie, and he seized Arti roughly. She screamed for him to let go, but he shouted back, insisting she should be grateful for his help. Ban stepped forward, addressing the mercenary coldly. He told him to let go. The man turned in surprise, only to be met by Ban's sharp declaration that he was laying hands on his precious employer. Ban's glare cut through as he dismissed him as nothing more than a filthy meat sack. We now switch to a small village, where a desperate villager fell to his knees, begging the bandits to at least spare his son. The bandits dismissed the value of civilian homes, but noted that organ extraction could be quite profitable. One of them turned to their boss for direction, asking what should be done. The boss shifted the conversation, reminding them of yesterday's request, which involved kidnapping a daughter from the Leon family. The bandit confirmed this, and the boss ordered for the 3 most skilled to be chosen for the task and be put on standby. The boss ordered that the corpse be hung up and for them to depart immediately. Before the bandit could leave, however, the boss extended the power of his rune and seized him. Shock and fear overtook the man as he struggled to understand what he had done wrong. The boss, Merkel, calmly explained that it was not about a mistake. Rather, a single hanging corpse felt unsatisfying, and if they were to dissect him in the same manner and place him beside the other, the display would be perfect. We now switch back to Ban and Arti. As Ban ate, Arti slammed her hand down on the table, clearly upset. Ban was seated on the mercenary who had assaulted her, treating him like a chair. Arti, unable to contain herself, demanded he stop, but Ban only questioned if she wanted to try sitting as well. She refused, insisting he release the man. Despite Ban's careless behavior, Artie's thoughts betrayed a different judgment. She recognized that while he had violent tendencies, he was skilled, reliable, and without much experience. Exactly the kind of mercenary she had been looking for. Ban eventually moved to a regular chair, remarking with disappointment about the softness he had lost, while Artie reminded him not to treat people like objects. With that aside, Ban turned the discussion back to the job at hand. Artie explained that she needed escorting to the border of the Ojuana Kingdom, planning to cross through the forest, which would make the journey a day's travel. Ban questioned why such a task warranted a payment of 10,000 gold, suspecting that the job might involve hidden dangers, perhaps the heir of a noble family being pursued, or even a fleeing criminal. He began to voice his doubts, but Artie quickly cut him off, claiming she was simply the only daughter of a somewhat wealthy merchant, spoiled by her father's constant doting. If he was truly that suspicious, she told him, she would rather hire someone else. Ban dismissed the idea of mistrust, pretending to sound holy, though Artie could only curse him in her thoughts. When Ban asked when they should depart, Artie said the sooner the better. Without hesitation, Ban declared that they would leave immediately. Artie, surprised, questioned his urgency, but Ban explained that he could not waste a client's precious time. Resigned, Artie agreed to set off right away. We now switch to the Gaseolso mountain range, where Ban and Artie made their way through the forest. Artie observed that they seemed to be about halfway to their destination, and Ban agreed. Relieved, Artie thought that if things continued this smoothly, they would arrive safely, and perhaps she had hired the mercenary for nothing. Suddenly, Ban halted and signaled for her to wait. She questioned him, but he silenced her, focusing intently. His senses detected mana, footsteps rushing toward them quickly. There were 4 in total, one of them far more dangerous than the rest. Ban's focus locked onto Merkel, who in turn sensed Ban's probing. With irritation, Merkel fired a sudden blast of energy. Ban managed to dodge the attack just in time. Merkel ordered his men to capture Artie alive. The assailants surged forward at his command. Artie was struck with shock at the display of power. Ban, however, recognized the attack as only a threat and prepared himself for the real danger. As Ban was speaking, something suddenly rushed at his side. He turned and saw 3 assailants dashing toward him. 2 struck first, and he blocked their attacks. The 3rd veered off toward Artie, but Ban reacted swiftly, knocking back the 2 before him and driving a powerful kick into the stomach of the one closing in on her. The remaining pair launched another assault, but Ban dodged their strikes, then seized Artie and quickly pulled her away to create distance from the attackers. Ban ordered Artie to stay behind him from that point onward, and she agreed in a flustered panic. He demanded to know who these men were, asking if they were bandits as well. They told him to surrender the woman quietly and retreat, promising to let him pass unharmed. Ban responded coldly, demanding 10,000 gold if they wanted him to leave her behind. The bandits mocked him as a fool, and the 2 men charged again. They unleashed a furious storm of attacks, but Ban held firm, blocking every strike. When the assault came to a standstill, one of them muttered in disbelief, realizing Ban was only a boy. Ban scoffed, explaining that he had only been cautious on the chance they were sorcerers. With that, he vanished in an instant, reappearing before them and unleashing a relentless flurry of punches, gathering mana into his hand. He delivered the final blow that exploded with immense force. Reducing his opponents to nothing. He called them worthless as their remains fell. Artie looked on in stunned silence, He looked younger than her, yet wielded power that far surpassed anything she had imagined. If her father had seen such strength, he would have been both shocked and overjoyed. From deeper in the forest, Merkel's voice echoed, explaining that sorcerers born with rune arts could measure each other's mana, and the size of one's mana determined their skill. Ban had expected him to emerge sooner, thinking he had been hiding far too long. At last, Merkel appeared. He studied Ban with a cold gaze, astonished that such a boy could possess mana equal to his own. He considered whether it was natural talent and decided he should be dissected first, certain that a sorcerer of his level would have excellent organs. This was Merkel, the mad anatomist, leader of the Merkel Gang, a criminal organization steeped in heinous acts such as murder, kidnapping, and human trafficking. Merkel offered him a painless dissection if he handed over Artie willingly. Ban dismissed the offer without hesitation. Merkel replied that in that case, he would have to die, and he began to gather mana for an attack. At that moment, Ban turned to his client and asked about her earlier claim of being merely a merchant's daughter. She panicked, attempting to explain, but Ban silenced her, stating that he had no intention of listening. He seized her cloak and lifted her, holding her out before Merkel's gathering energy. Artie realized in horror that Ban had positioned her directly in front of the incoming blast. Merkel hesitated at the sight, taken aback, while Ban stared at him blankly as the attack was unleashed. After Merkel's powerful attack, Artie nearly lost her life and screamed in fear and outrage, berating Ban for his recklessness. Merkel reminded Ban that he was supposed to be her bodyguard, and she insisted on her authority as his employer. Ban, however, ignored her complaints as he analyzed the situation in silence. He noted how Merkel had adjusted the direction of his attack and twisted it away in that split second, recognizing him as a skilled sorcerer with a remarkable control over mana. From this, Ban deduced that Merkel's goal was not to kill Artie, but to capture her alive. Ban muttered to himself, correcting his slip of tongue when he almost referred to Artie as his money rather than his employer. He decided, for now, to overlook her earlier lie. Artie grew even more exasperated at his attitude, furious that he brushed off an attempt on her life so casually. Ban silenced her, stating his intent to throw her to safety. He ordered her to land properly and hide quietly, like a dead mouse. Artie froze in confusion and dread, her protests cut short when Ban seized her and hurled her through the air. Merkel immediately gave chase, demanding to know where she thought she was going. Before he could pursue her further, Ban caught him by the foot and gathered his mana. With a burst of power, he drove a devastating punch into Merkel, then followed up with another blow to his stomach, forcing him back though he did not fall. Merkel only grinned, seemingly thrilled by the resistance. Ban, however, realized something was off. He had struck Merkel with everything he had, yet it felt as though some invisible force had blocked the full impact. Merkel taunted him, promising to rip out his organs before going after Artie. Relishing the thought of the thrill it would bring, Merkel possessed the psychokinesis rune, a rune craft that manipulated an object's physical state through mana. It granted him the ability to discharge power in sudden, instantaneous bursts like shock waves. He unleashed a blast of energy at Ban, then lunged forward, delivering a powerful punch that Ban managed to block. The strike was reinforced by his rune, his body clad in psychokinetic energy that amplified his hand-to-hand combat to devastating levels. Ban retaliated with a heavy punch of his own, but Merkel remained unfazed. Extending his hand, Merkel fired another blast, forcing Ban to dodge before countering with another strike. Yet Ban's fist collided not with flesh, but with a barrier, an impenetrable shield of mana. The psychokinetic energy had formed a solid defense around Merkel, a runecraft art both formidable and frustrating, capable of repelling Ban's assault with ease. Merkel gloated, declaring it useless to resist. Though their mana levels were similar, their rune arts were not on the same level. He offered Ban a place at his side, promising him greater rewards. Merkel mocked Artie's payment, scoffing when Ban mentioned 10,000 gold, laughing that such a sum could be earned with ease by robbing a few civilian homes. His words stirred Ban's anger as he repeated the vile suggestion back at him, questioning if he truly robbed civilians. Proudly, Merkel admitted it without shame, boasting that they profited from assassination, kidnapping, robbery, and human trafficking, taking on any job without discrimination. He tempted Ban again, asking if the promise of such lucrative work had begun to interest him. A shadow fell across Ban's expression, and a dark smile crept onto his face. Merkel, mistaking it for agreement, laughed in triumph, believing his eye for talent had once again proven accurate. Ban laughed, not from amusement but from frustration and self-directed anger, disgusted that he had even entertained a conversation with someone he considered vermin. His decision was made. He would tear Merkel apart until he was unrecognizable. Merkel seethed, enraged that Ban would reject mercy when given the chance. Ban charged forward, unleashing a relentless storm of punches. Each strike was deflected by the invisible barrier of telekinesis. Merkel mocked him, confident in his defense, but Ban pressed on without hesitation. His fists hammered away, faster and harder, until finally one broke through. Merkel's eyes widened in shock as Ban's blow shattered the defense and struck home. The assault continued mercilessly. Ban landed a crushing punch that tore one of Merkel's arms clean off, then drove his fist into Merkel's stomach, hurling him backward. Furious, Merkel screamed that he no longer desired Ban's organs. Instead, Ban would pay the price for ignoring his mercy. A massive surge of mana erupted from him as he prepared his ultimate attack, psychokinetic blood strike. Merkel's energy ripped through the forest, a cataclysmic blast that reduced everything in its path to ruin. Even as he fired, Merkel cried out in disbelief, insisting that Ban's mana should have been similar to his own, demanding to know how it was possible. His words broke into frantic shouts as he questioned how Ban had managed to withstand his psychokinesis. But Ban stood calmly, his hand raised, effortlessly blocking the devastating force. With cold disdain, he revealed the truth. Their mana was not the same at all. In an instant, Ban released his true power. The vast, monstrous surge of energy shook Merkel to his core, leaving him horrified by the enormity of it. Ban declared the end and dashed forward, appearing before Merkel in a blink. He summoned the rune of Asura. The first manifested armament, Annihilation Fist, took form. A gauntlet imbued with the terrifying power to annihilate matter at the particle level. Its destructive force was not fixed, but scaled in proportion to the user's mana, making it a weapon of limitless devastation in the hands of one with immense energy. With this power coursing through him, Ban unleashed another barrage of crushing blows, culminating in a final strike that punched clean through Merkel's chest. After finishing off Merkel, Ban wrapped the bandages back around his arms. The space surrounding Merkel's body still crackled with the lingering energy of his attack, unstable and ominous. As Ban walked away, the energy suddenly detonated in a massive explosion that tore through the area. He did not look back, his steps steady, as as he muttered darkly to himself about fetching his dear employer.